Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to Their Voices Matter series. This is the parent edition. And with the Their Voices Matter series, we give voice to those who we don't hear from. And we do that. We have this series so that way we can amplify those voices. So for the month of January, we are focusing on the voices of parents in their journey through this special education process. So this is the third episode. I am so happy. Just with all of the feedback we've gotten just from the different parents wanting to join in. And without further ado, I'm going to welcome today's guest, Sister Leonie.
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon. So, to get started, tell the audience who you are, where you are from, and what do you do?
Okay, I'm originally from Trinidad and Tobago. I live here in Brooklyn, New York. I'm a home health aide and I'm a mother of six children.
Oh, wow. Okay. You don't look it. You don't look at us. So that is great. That is great. So let's just get started. We're gonna jump right into it. We're just gonna have like a casual just conversation, as we go into different questions. So how did your special education journey begin?
Um, it actually began when we came here to New York. I've noticed that my daughter had some issues while we were in Trinidad, but couldn't get any help. Tried and couldn't get any help. So when we get here, one of the schools that she went into, the teacher just said she don't know how to deal with it. And I'm like, okay. A friend told me about these charter schools, and everybody else was saying it's hard to get in. I did sign up, and in 2 days I get a response from them. Went get her registered, and within 3 days they I let them know what is the issues that I will having with my daughter. And that was it from there. Sent me straight to get her evaluated and really getting the help that she needed. So that's how this it started with us.
All right. So what did you notice when I know you said you noticed in Trinidad she was having some difficulty. So what was the difficulty that you noticed she was having?
Okay. She wasn't speaking clearly.
Okay.
Besides not speaking clearly, um, understanding her work. So the work that they were doing now is not until the next term she will understand what was happening. And I was clueless on what was really going on, but I just knew that something was wrong.
Okay, you noticed something was wrong. Okay, and that's one of the biggest steps too, is to not be in denial of any
Yes.
issues because that wastes a lot of time where you could actually get
Hmm.
the help for your daughter. So, okay, so we fast forward, you moved to Trinidad. She was in public school at first,
Yes.
and then she went to a and then you got her into a charter school.
Yes.
Okay.
Hmm.
How was the evaluation process for you? Were you surprised or shocked by any of the questions you were being asked? Or how was that process when she was initially getting evaluated?
I wasn't surprised because I knew my child.
Hmm.
So I really wasn't surprised that they pinpoint everything that I was seeing.
Okay.
So the questions, it wasn't anything difficult or to make me feel really scared that something is terribly wrong with her and stuff like that. And then the questions that they asked her, well, I was not in the room. So when she came out and asked her, I say, how was it? She said it was okay, but she's normally a very quiet child.
Okay. So she just
So
was like, oh,
yeah,
it was okay.
it was okay, yeah.
Okay. So did you feel like you had any because I know some parents when they go through the process initially, they have some feelings of, well, why did they ask that? Or why do they need to know that? You didn't experience any of that?
No, I didn't experience any of that. What I had experienced is one day she came home from the public school first and she just didn't know what to do. and I sat there and I cried. And I cried because I was a preschool teacher back in Trinidad,
Hmm.
and knowing that my daughter have this issue and I just don't know what to do. So that was at that moment is when I was hurting. I just didn't know what to do.
Hmm.
So that was the only moment. So I start writing down the issues, the things that I'm noticing with her.
Hmm.
And we went to the evaluation. It was much easier.
Okay, because you already wrote down like what you were seeing when they were asking you questions. You
Yes.
already had your documentation because you have been taking like notes of just everything
Yes.
that's going on. Okay, so back in Trinidad, when you were in Trinidad, would you how is the education system different there than here in the States?
It's it's totally different. Some people say that it's easier for your children to learn in Trinidad than here. The difference for me is that the teachers here really paid attention.
Okay, paid
Yeah,
attention to it.
they paid attention. They saw what the problem was, and they took the initiative to reach out to me to see if I had knew what was going on and stuff like that. So that is the to me, that's the only difference of being here and the education system back in Trinidad. I mean, it's
Okay.
different for me because what we learn in Trinidad is nothing compared to what they learn in here now. So I now have to try to fight up to understand this is
Mhm.
what they meant by, something else and stuff like that.
Okay, okay. So what's the biggest challenge you faced in your special education journey and how did you tackle it? Like one of the biggest things, and you may be tackling it now. What's one of the biggest hurdles you feel like you had to overcome as you've gone through this journey? Your daughter getting um evaluated, your daughter getting an IEP. What has been like the biggest challenge for you?
She not having friends, other
Mm,
children seeing her as different and not wanting to speak to her and wondering if she'll be able to cope.
mm,
How stuff like that. That is the biggest challenge. I mean, and now it's not bad. She still don't have much friends, but she's getting better by understanding the school. So more paying more attention to that than anything else now.
that is very interesting you share that of the social aspect where your daughter's having difficulty with, where you're having difficulty with. Have you reached out to like her teachers or guidance counselors to assist with that? 'Cause- yeah, have you because I've seen it where in one of the schools that I taught at, there was we had a full-time learning support class. And yes, you can tell those students had, some needs that were more severe than some of the other students. And I can remember like guidance counselors and even sometimes the principal would get they would touch base with certain students in other classes and say, listen, we have some students, we really want to make them welcome. Can you sit with them at lunch? And like there were certain students that would sit with them at lunch and talk. And it wasn't just sitting there, they would actually converse with them and talk with them. Like if they saw them in the hallway, give them a high five or whatever. And
Mhm.
this was seventh grade. So I'm wondering, one, how old is your daughter? And then two, have you reached out to her teachers to see how they can support with perhaps doing peer groups with her or having like a buddy system for her so that way she doesn't feel like ostracized where I'm an outsider outside of my grade group.
Okay, so she's 14 now. And yes, I did reach out to the teachers. I asked them to put her in sporting activities and stuff like that. It took a little while because she was always to herself.
Mhm.
So when she started out in double dutch, and one day I decided to stay back to see how she's coping with the activity and stuff. And she was laughing and talking, but when she saw me, she like, Why you stay? I said, I just wanted to see how you're doing. And she said, okay. And she went back and she continued. So they did help a lot. Um, they didn't put her into any peer groups until after the evaluation. That's where they had the pull out classes. So she had speech, um, math, different classes that they had pulled her out. But those went well. The charter school, they have a different togetherness where everybody is always together. They don't leave anybody out. So I know she was there. Um, she was treated like a normal child, like she didn't have IEP or anything like that. So that was the experience with her being there and stuff like that.
Okay. Um, because I know you said now she's getting the pull-out services, that she needs. Just from my experience, I know some of the guidance counselors or clinicians, sometimes when students are having a hard time, perhaps making friends or just having some social anxiety or just having social issues outside of whatever her services are, they will have like peer groups. Sometimes it's a mix of girls and boys, or sometimes it's just a female group. Sometimes it's just a male group, depending on the topic that needs to be discussed. But having that smaller, intimate setting to just open up in front of, someone to even see that, oh my God, we
Mhm.
do have a lot in common. We can talk outside of the class, not just for school things, but also talk outside of class or even have lunch together, things like that, to give her more of that, just socialization with her peers at school. Is
Yeah.
that something that you've seen at
But
the school or asked for?
yes, yes. They
Oh,
she actually have they have a lot of that because they are I think every holiday for Black History Month they have a lot of activities and she did took part in a lot of it. So she's getting there. She's getting there. Although the school is an all girls school.
the school is what?
So all girls.
Oh, it's an all girls school. Okay. So
Yes.
initially, in what year was she evaluated?
20.
2020. Okay, so that's right when the
Yeah.
pandemic hit. So
Yeah.
initially, it was hard socially for her, but like now she's starting to get better. Okay, so that's great. I
Yes,
mean,
she's
it's
better.
great 'cause, that initially sometimes it's like, okay, we have the diagnosis now, and okay, well, where do we go from here? You know what I mean? Sometimes that's
Yeah.
yeah. And what's her diagnosis?
Um, a delayed learning ability.
Oh, okay. She's developmentally delayed.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And has
Yes.
anyone else in your family um had a diagnosis like that? And was this all brand new?
Yes, it's all brand new. All brand new. I have no idea. Well, not on my side, on her father's side. No. So I don't know
Okay.
where it came from. I mean, yeah.
Right. So it was just new. This was all new, a new learning experience, having to research and do things like that. Okay. Um, how was your experience when it was time for the IEP and the IEP meeting? What was that experience like, your very first IEP meeting?
Um, I was a bit concerned and still hurting a bit. Not hurting to say, but worried because
Okay.
hearing all these things that they're saying that she have a little issue in and having to pull her out of the class to put her with a few other children and it's like I'm just hoping that she's not thinking that something is wrong with her. But other
Mhm.
than that, they when they explain to me, okay, the speech, how it's going to be run for how many minutes, the break within for all the subjects that they did the pull out class, I felt a little more comfortable with it because I know she had the support of other children. It wasn't just her alone in the class for her to feel um totally away from everybody else. So the first EP meeting, it went well. And we had one last Wednesday as well. But that one was fun because
Okay.
she speaks very fast. So the teacher is like, Faisa speaks another language. And I blurt out, no. And I said, sorry, miss. I said, no, she doesn't speak another language. And I said, she just speaks fast. And that is something that I have to deal with here. Faisa, take your time. I'm not hearing you. Say it again. So
Uh-huh.
these are the things that we have going on. One other thing they said she have a second grade level handwriting, and I laugh about it. She writes in two different styles. One that you cannot understand, and then another one perfect. So I keep telling her, I said, listen, you need to stick to this handwriting where you're forming all the letters properly and actually read it. Then you're just doing the other one. I said, look at the teacher saying that you have a second grade level handwriting, but just laugh. And it's like, I say, Faisa, no, don't do that. Stick to the one that they could understand what you're writing. And, I tell her other brothers and them about it, and everybody was just laughing at it. So after I say, listen, I don't want people to think that you can't write. So
Right.
you need to stick with the one that people could understand, but
Right.
we just had a fun moment about it. But it's things that, we need to pay attention to, and just to bring her away because she gets so comfortable in writing whatever she wants to write. And
Hmm.
we now have to try to figure out what it is. So that's
Right. So
how
being
those
her,
IEP meetings.
yeah. Right. And then being on her to make sure she's using the writing like you said so that you can understand, what she's reading. Because I know students sometimes they just write
Yeah.
so they can read it, and sometimes they can't even read their own writing because they're writing so fast.
Yeah.
Now, do you speak another language at home?
No.
Okay, I'm just like, I wonder why
No.
they thought she spoke another language.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
Because they can't understand what she's saying. You
And
can't
she's
you
talking
can't
too
understand what
fast.
she's saying.
She's talking very fast, so they're thinking this is another language. We have a comment here. She said, "Do you think because she speaks fast, her brain receives the information fast as well? Can this be the reason she's writing fast?" That is a possibility. Different
Huh.
expectations. She could be receiving the information that way, like
Yeah, probably how she receiving it.
she's trying to quickly write it down, or as she's processing the information, she's trying to quickly
What
write down what her thoughts are, and that's why
I
her
think
writing
that's it.
is illegible. And then as
Yes,
she's
I think it's the processing.
yeah, and as she's processing the question, she's getting it out real fast. So it does it. So it sounds like, wait, what did you say? But it's like she may have to get it out. That way she doesn't forget what she's saying. That is a great thank you. Different expectations for that. Because I know some
Yes.
students
Yeah.
that also some students who stutter, like if they raise their hand to answer a question, it's like calling them right away because it takes them a certain amount of energy to get the words out. Whereas
Yeah. Oh,
if you delay calling on them, it's like they gotta wait, and it's like then they gotta get their energy back up again to get the words out. And it's like once you see them raise their hand, call on them so that way they can get the
cool.
information out. So yeah, it could be how she's processing the information. Thank you, different expectations. Um, what is a piece of advice you would give a parent who is getting ready to go through this process? What's some advice you would give them?
Firstly, believe in your child. You're the parent. You know your child. You know what he or she may be capable of. You know how well they can push. Don't ever give up. And you don't feel bad for the way that your child is learning. Everybody learns at a different level. Stick with them, still treat them as normal. Don't change anything. Just continue. We Why we don't change, we just add on. We're not changing. You're not wrong. We're just adding on more information so the child and yourself will be more understanding. You know exactly what's going on and you know what to. So that's it. And that is exactly what I do. I stick with her and stuff like that.
And I really like that you said, like, you're just adding on. It's just you're looking at this as additional support, adding on to what you already have, and not looking at it as
No.
a negative effect, like something is wrong with my child or anything like that. This is just something where, hey, this is how my child is learning. Okay, we're going to use these services to add on to what we're already doing. I think that is great advice to give parents, because a lot of times parents can get into the, oh my God, did I do this? Was something I did? Did I do something wrong? And it's like, or, you
Yeah.
don't want your child to feel like, oh my God, is there something wrong with me? And it's like, you want your children to know, listen, everyone's different. Everybody learns differently. Everyone
Yes.
has a way of processing, speaking, writing, and doing things. And there's nothing wrong with how you learn. I think that is great, great, great advice.
Yes.
In your opinion, how can the special education process be improved? How can the IEP process be improved? From your experience, what would you say could have been better? And where do you feel there needs to be improvement?
Um, for us, I think they need some done with the children. Yes, I understand the group is better, but sometimes a one-on-one will still go a long way because when they were talking about the maths, the teacher said if I ask the question amongst the few children, she'll get frustrated because she can answer, but if he goes to her by himself, she respond better. So that there tells me a one-on-one gonna do good with her. So
Okay.
that's the only I think, yeah, they could improve on AP.
Okay. So having more like an instructional assistant where they can probably give the one-on-one support in the classroom, to have those more one-to-one interactions before going whole group. Um, Yeah, that works a lot for
Yes.
that definitely does work for a lot of students. Um, Teachers being able to utilize instructional assistants in the classroom. So I think, yeah, you bringing that up, I think it's very important that more, I'll say, charter schools as well as school districts utilize the supports of instructional assistants and academic support paras. Because you have some places where, like in New York, I want to say in some charter schools, they have a medical para and they have behavior para, but there's no academic support para. The students they don't have a
Yes.
medical concern, they don't have a medical need, or they don't have behavior issues, but it's like having a para who could give that academic support, just doing some, just even some small groups, and just even touching base with those students in your classroom who may just need that extra guidance and push. It's very beneficial to have in a classroom. So you bringing that up, I think that is a great improvement that could be done with just with special education, with the providing special education services to classrooms. And that's something that can just be added to every class, because instructional assistants and
Mhm.
academic supporters, it benefits all students, not just students that have an IEP. So that would be a great
Yes.
addition. um so last question, what do you wish you knew then that you know now?
Nothing.
Amen.
Yeah. Nothing.
So you feel like,
Nothing. Nothing. Probably not to be so sad, so sad about it, and to get the help. That help is there. It's just to find the right help.
okay, so you said just being able to know where to go to find the correct help for your daughter.
Yes. The
Okay.
resources and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, that's like half the battle, knowing what resources are available, knowing where to go to get them. That's if you know that right away, that definitely
Yeah.
saves a lot of time, a lot of, I'll say, tears, because it can, because that can be overwhelming and stressful.
Hmm.
You're trying to research where to go. If you have to go outside the school, if it's in the school, that can be stressful. So being able to know like where the resources are, yes, that is definitely definitely half the battle.
Yes.
Okay, we have oh, thank you. Different Expectations said, be sure to share this video and contact the IEP coach for all your special education needs. She's an amazing coach. You have a wealth of information. Thank you so much. Different Expectations. So, yes, do you have anything else that you would like to share with the audience? Oh, she also said, Leona, great job, mom. You're doing a great job supporting your daughter. That is some different
Thank
expectations.
you.
It says, so do you have any
Expectations, yeah.
eh, do you have any closed remarks or anything you want to share with the audience? Do you want people to connect with you? If you do, feel free to share. If not, it's okay.
Um, I don't mind. I just want to say I'm really thankful and I'm really grateful that I could actually be on here
Mhm.
discussing this because it's hard by itself, you being the parent and have to go through all this. Don't know anybody else who have the same issue. I'm not gonna
Mhm.
say a problem, who have the same issue. And it's just you alone trying to figure it out. Okay, yes, the school and the ministry they are doing as much as they can, but you just sitting there and just wondering, okay, if I know other parents, maybe we could exchange ideas or strategies and stuff like that. And I really don't, even if it have other children in the class. So the ones who they pull out as well, they never get together. So, for us to share or get a little understanding of the other children or stuff like that, that never happened. So for me being on here and to be in this setting, it's really nice.
Okay.
I'm really grateful for it.
I'm
Just
glad
knowing that
you got at
I'm
it.
not alone is
Yeah.
good.
Yes, and I'm so happy you responded to when I put the post out. You were just on it so quick and you followed the directions.
Yes.
So I appreciate you, doing that. So and if you haven't, there are a lot of groups on Facebook, like parent groups. That's something you can definitely look into. I always tell
Okay.
people look into Facebook groups because there's so many specifically for parents. So you have various parents, from all over the country, all over the world, sharing their experiences with their child, whether their child has autism, a developmental delay, a learning disability, and they are sharing what has worked. That's a nice way to have community,
Yes.
so you have other parents that you can touch base with, and so that you don't feel like you're the only one experiencing this. You can definitely
Correct.
go in and
Hmm.
say, listen, who has experienced this? How did you handle it? Because this is where I am right now. But yes, definitely do that. There's a lot of parent groups out here. Um, I want to say when I first got into, special education, it was back in 2006, because I have a little sister who has a intellectual disability. So I'm just thinking back to my mom. My sister was born in 91, to think back like, okay, what type of support did she have? My mother was doing, a lot of research herself. And then once I got to college and I decided to major in that, I was just sharing stuff with my mom, like, do this, ask for this, but just to think to that time, like, what community did my mother have? I don't think my mother really had much of a
Yeah.
community besides the parents that went to the same school as my little sister, or who was in the same class
Hmm.
as my little sister. And then
Class.
they would just share stuff that they found out or any type of support, that they found when she was younger. I want to say now you have with technology and social media, you have so many groups now, for parents, for teachers, to get, additional help. So yes, definitely, utilize those groups. And I want to thank
Thank
you
you.
so much, Leona, for definitely coming on. I appreciate you for sharing your experience with your daughter, and I'm so happy that she is, making progress and she's just getting better. And I know as each year comes around, she's going to continue to have even more success, with her academics, and also socially. I'm happy that she's doing better, as well. And eventually she'll form
Yeah.
those tight bond friendships, that she will have, for the rest of her life. So I just want to thank you so much for coming on today.
Yes, thank you very much.
All right. So I am, for those of you who are new, I am Jamila, aka the IEP coach. This is the Their Voices Matters series where we amplify the voices of those that we don't hear often. And for the month of January, we are focusing on parents and their journey and their special education journey. So this has been a labor of love for me. This is something that I wanted to do last year. So I'm so happy to be able to do this. Again, I am Jamila, aka the IEP coach, and I'm the senior educational consultant for the IEP Coach LLC, where we help principals keep their special education teachers from leaving. We provide special education teachers as well as gen ed teachers with professional development and group coaching support. We also support parents, parent groups, and parents. We have sessions helping them understand the special education process as well as the IEP process. And also, please look out for us. We are coming to Baltimore on the 28th to present at the City Schools Education Summit on the 28th, and we are super excited. We're going to be presenting about co-teaching, which is something that I love, but you need to do it properly so that way you can execute it well in your classroom. So thank you all so much. Definitely follow us at the IEP Coach LLC on all platforms, and we will see you next Sunday. That will be our final episode. It will be episode 4, and it will be the final episode in the series for the month of January. So definitely follow us, and we will see you next Sunday.